Hi there, I'm Mitch Hammond. This is my final presentation for race and ethnicity. I'll be comparing the criminal justice system of Italy and the United States. So starting off with point one, the U.S. criminal justice system's main focus is to punish and incapacitate offenders in an effort to lower the likelihood that they'll reoffend. Don't do that because you're going to get a long sentence or you're going to get, harsh treatment, stuff like that, so that, to keep people away from it. Racially and ethnically, African Americans and Latinx make up 30% of the population, give or take, but they make up 51% of the jail system. So there's a large disparity there, a large gap. Only 30%, and then 51% of that is like in the jail system, like they make up the jail system. And of that 51%, 47% of people in the jail system have not graduated from high school or passed their GED. So that means over half the people, almost half the people, incarcerated are not able to apply for, high-paying jobs, like careers. Like once they get out of, when they're done serving their sentence, it's going to be harder for them to get a job. So that just increases the rate of recidivism. So they'll go right back to doing whatever they were doing before, because that's all they know. And the people that are, picked up, a lot of times, like you see in our jail system, they come from, regions where there is a lot of crime, gang violence. It's lower income neighborhoods. The level of education there is minimal. So you see that there's a reason that the jail system is made up of, 47% of people that don't have a high school diploma. So, and then some people just get swept up in it. And like these pockets were created because of, historically, if you look back in history, there's, slavery, and then they after slavery was abolished, they went different ways. And then you had like neighborhoods where they weren't allowed to get, housing. They couldn't take out loans to buy houses, so they made these neighborhoods, these groups, and that's historically why these pockets of minorities exist today. And also, according to the Crime Data Explorer provided by the FBI, there was a total of 268,109 arrests for assault, with 106,823 of them being African American. So, to put that in perspective, that's roughly 40% of that 268. So 40% of that was committed by African Americans. Keep in mind that African Americans only make up 14 to 15% of the total population, statistically. So the data shows that, black people, African Americans, are, disproportionately arrested compared to, whites, for example. And like I said, the country I chose is Italy. Comparing to Italy, they have three branches: the legislative, judicial, and executive branch. Italy scored 67% on the WJP, rule of law. This index compared 142 different countries and their criminal justice system. So the factors evaluated included criminal investigative system effectiveness, criminal adjudication system effectiveness, correctional system effectiveness, and reducing crime, and finally being free of corruption and having due process. In terms of all that combined, Italy scored a total of 63% and was ranked 27th out of the 142 that were ranked. Italy's criminal justice was originally based on Roman law and Napoleonic codes, and the codes of the Kingdom of Sardinia, which that's a whole different thing. Kingdom of Sardinia became Italy some time ago. And so the Italian police has many different names. There's the Carabinieri, which is the military police, the state police, finance police, penitentiary police force. They also have municipalities and provincial departments. But those two don't have the authority to arrest. They're more on the minor, traffic violations. You're not up to code, stuff like that. So point three. So there was roughly 2.3 million arrests in Italy in 2019, with a majority of them being for theft. In the United States, there's 14 million arrests in 2024, which the majority of them being theft as well. Theft overall is the main reason people get arrested anywhere in the world. So it's not a surprise there. In terms of policing practices, the Italian police has two major groups. So there's the Carabinieri, as I mentioned before, and the state police. So Carabinieri is more focused on, international, issues that they need to take care of, while the state police is mainly in charge of, like you see today in, our system. So they'd be like the police in your town. They deal with, infractions, murder, theft, anything like larceny, anything like that is the state police. Carabinieri only they have military capabilities, the Carabinieri do. So that's what separates them apart. Yeah, and like the state police really don't use force as much. Like they're not, so not I don't want to say you're not supposed to, but like their main priority is to establish peace, keep the peace, not break stuff down. Like they don't have SWAT. Like we have SWAT. The SWAT would be in the Carabinieri, is what I'm saying. So Italy, point 4, Italy is among some of the European nations with the highest percentage of pre-child detention and frequent violations of Article 5 in the European Convention of Human Rights. So the key purpose of Article 5 is to prevent arbitrary or unjustified deprivations of liberty. While there's still some concerns for like human rights violations, Italy overall, they have less than the United States does. The death penalty was abolished in Italy in 1948. However, in the United States, it is legal in 27 of the 50 states. The rates of incarceration in the United States are also much higher than Italy, at 664 per 100,000. And in Italy, it's only 90 per 100,000. So it's much less. The sentencing in the United States is generally, much longer compared to Italy, especially for like drug-related offenses. You're going to serve a longer sentence in the United States than you would if you're caught in Italy. Just overall sentencing, not even just for drug-related, just anything overall. Theft, blah, blah, it'll be longer in the United States. And also Italy they're more adoptive of restorative justice compared to the United States. They've gotten in depth with community policing. So that initiative is something that they've been, working on. United States, you've seen a turn, sort of this last 20 years, I'd say, couple decades. We switched from more of a militaristic kind of policing that we saw in the 90s, and now it's more of, aims for community policing, getting out there, more foot patrol, less, in the cruisers, so that people put, face to names and like can have human interactions with them and not, just see, a police car coming around and you don't see who's in it. So that's just one of the examples for community policing, but there's a lot more to that. And that's like a whole different topic. But number 5, in terms of the system addressing disparities more effectively, I have to say Italy overall does a better job. United States, we still struggle with disparities today. As I mentioned before, statistically, African Americans, Latinx make up more of the prison population. They get more sentencing. So there's a disparity there. In Italy, you don't really see it that much. Of course, Italy's not perfect. Like I said, they had Article 5 of the European Convention of Human Rights violations, but you see it much less. Much less. Because that is also in part of the arrest rate. It is only 90 per 100,000, while ours is 664. In like the U.S., like I mentioned before, like low-income communities are not like, I don't want to say targeted, but they do see a lot more policing, a lot more arrests. I mean, there is crime. There's a lot of crime there too, but like some people just get swept up in it, and they're, you live in that area, you're just assumed that you're, doing criminal activity. So like, and one more thing is that like Italy is not based around slave labor. If you look back historically, the United States, we used a lot of slave labor back in the days before it was abolished. Then, that changed, and you see that still struggling. Even in today, I mean, realistically, we're not that old of a nation. So it's going to take some time to, kind of grow past that. And that's just one of the challenges that we have to deal with. Lastly, some of the lessons that the United States can learn from Italy is just more community policing, like I said, more foot patrol, more, community engagement, community involvement, polling, like taking polls from people in the community can definitely help a lot. Hearing their voices, getting their voices heard, it gives them, a say in something, and they feel their voice is heard. So more of that, I feel like would help the United States more, and we're on the right path. Don't get me wrong, like if you look statistically on the UCR, which is the Uniform Crime Reporting, crime has gone down tremendously over the past decade, 20 years even. It's gone down, way down. You saw the influx in 2020 with the COVID epidemic, so there's that, but it's gone down. And just like a more down-to-earth approach, I would say, is like, so you can put faces to names, like I was saying earlier. Seeing that, having those human interactions and seeing them face to face, it's much more different. Like, you'd have a lot harder time being mad at someone that and like you can say all this stuff, but like when it comes time to like actually seeing them in person, like it's different. So I feel like more of that is definitely needed. And that is it. That's my presentation. So Italy has a much lower arrest rate, overall less crime. So it's just we have some issues to deal with, and I mean it's gonna take some time. So that's it.